Hi friends, this is Prem. Today we are going to discuss the most important topic with attorney. So many of you ask these questions. What should they do if H1B I-94 going to expire? What are the options they have? Whether they should go out of the country or whether they can stay inside the country and just explore the other options. They have the other options. We are going to discuss those options in this video. Let's go to the video and ask all the questions to our attorney. Today we are going to meet immigration attorney Henry from Manifest Law Firm. They are giving the free consultation for you all people. So if you have any question regarding your visa or green card, EAD or whatever things, you can call them and get it clear with a free consultation. The QR code you can see on your screen. Just use this QR code and schedule your call. Hi Henry, thanks again. People started asking about the LCAs, H1B transfers, amendments, and we have a lot of questions. Let's see whether you are going to give any treats for Halloween to us.
I wish it was under better circumstances. Happy to be here and happy to give more information for all your viewers.
Thank you. As everyone knows, the government shutdown has been completed 31st day today, but still it's going on. And DOL websites are completely down and there is no people to work on Department of Labor. Is there any H1B transfers or amendments or new H1Bs after October 1 is processing?
No, unfortunately not. There's no really exception in the law, and the LCA is needed for every H1B filing, which means that if you haven't already received an LCA before October, then there's no way to do it. So I had a few cases of my own going on in September, and I knew that the shutdown was likely to come, and luckily I got my LCAs certified before the shutdown began. But anything that was pending or in process, it just is paused and it's not going anywhere. And there's no way to file new ones either. So unfortunately, that means there's no way to get an H1B transfer done right now unless the government reopens.
A lot of people asked about the USCIS receipt number. If they are in the H1B, they can work if they are getting the USCIS receipt number. But the USCIS receipt number is the next step after LCA, right?
Correct. So if you already got an LCA done and now you're filing the H1B petition with USCIS, then you can use that receipt number for what they call portability. That means you can already start working with the new company that is doing the transfer for you. But if you can't do the LCA, then you can't file with USCIS. If you file with USCIS without the LCA, they will just deny it, and or they could even reject it in the mail room outright and just send you the paperwork back. So you need the LCA to get the case going, and that's the bottleneck there. That's where there's currently the pause that you can't get through.
One of the viewers asked this question: at any circumstance, whether they can use the old LCA for the new petition processing?
It's possible, but only if it's the same company. For example, if your employer did an LCA for you, and the LCA is for a 3-year period, but they only extended your H1B maybe 1 year and a half, and now you have an I-140 approval and you're qualified for more H1B, you might have a year and a half left on that LCA. So then you can actually use the old LCA. But the LCA has to be the same position, the same location, and the same company. So that means you can't change employers. But if you have a valid LCA, that's still, check. If you have an old H1B filing, check the LCA that was included with that filing. You will see the validity period of the LCA. And in most cases, the LCA period is going to be pretty much the same as the approval notice that you got. But there are situations where the LCA is actually valid for a longer period, which means that they could now file for an extension, but only an extension with the same company, not transferring to a different one. You can't use the LCA from Amazon to go and work for Microsoft.
Cool. It's very crystal clear. It might be a very, very small group of people or not, because the LCA is always approving the same date as the H1B approval notice. So it's a very rare scenario, I can understand. And there is a USCIS web page where we are seeing like they are given some article saying like the extension of stay or change of status under extraordinary circumstances, they are giving some relief. what they are saying about the extraordinary circumstances.
I have not yet seen any situation where they have accepted a case without an LCA. I don't think it means that you can actually file for an H1B. I think what it means is that you can get forgiveness for falling out of status, maybe, or that maybe if you later apply for an H1B after the government resets, then you would be able to file your change of status or extension of stay later. Because the general rule is if your I-94 right now says that your status is going to be over November 5, then you need to apply for something before November 5. And then if you apply after November 5, then USCIS can only excuse the late filing if it was a situation that is outside of your control, right? So I don't have an example for you exactly like this with H1B, but I do have an example for you where I filed extension of stay EOS after the I-94 had already expired. It was for somebody on an L2 who was here and then they got cancer. And then while they were doing their cancer treatment, and they had small children in the home, so they were understandably busy with a lot of other things, and they just totally forgot about their I-94. They weren't thinking about their immigration status. And 6 months later, they look at their I-94 and they realize, oh my God, I've been out of status for 6 months. I didn't even realize this. They come to me where I was working at the time, and we filed the L2 extension, and we just included evidence to USCIS that they went to the doctor, here's the diagnosis, here's the treatment, everything. And then we asked for USCIS to forgive this. And then USCIS approved the case. By approving the case, they basically forgive the out of status period. And this person now is in valid status, and they no longer have a unlawful presence on their record. So I am assuming that this is the same thing they're talking about now. So if somebody, let's say, runs out of status on their H1B and they didn't get laid off, so it's not about the grace period, but just that they run out of status on an H1B and their employer wants to extend it but just cannot do it because of the shutdown. Let's say a month later file for that extension, USCIS is going to forgive that late filing. But for most people, my recommendation would be if you have a current job and your H1B is still valid, just stay at that job. And unfortunately, it means you can't accept a better offer if there's somebody who wants to do a transfer. But if you get laid off and you are in your grace period and you're trying to figure out what to do, file a change of status to B2.
Say example, if someone is working on the company, their H1B is going to expire on November 15th. They forgot to apply earlier. Now the government is completely shut down. They are not able to extend their H1B, and I-94 also going to expire on November 15th. If they are not able to apply the extension on time before November 15th, what they should do? Go out of the country, or they can stay in the country and later apply to the USCIS with the forgiveness notice?
Honestly, if they stay in the country, the chance is pretty good that USCIS will forgive their late filing. But this is really a conversation that needs to happen with the company as well, right? You should talk to your HR, because if you stay in the country, even if you're counting on that forgiveness later, there is a risk because you never know what USCIS is going to do. They say one thing in the press release, but what is their actual policy, or what is the officer specifically going to do who gets your case? You can't predict that 100% certainty that it's going to work. Second, you still don't have work authorization. So that means if you stay here, you should at least stop working, because if you continue working, you're going to have a double violation. You're going to have out of status and working without authorization. I don't think that press release mentioned forgiving the unauthorized work, which means that it might actually be better for you if you talk to your HR and they say, okay, November 14, let's get you out of the US and you can continue working remotely while we figure out the extension. And then we'll bring you back in after we can file for the extension. That's probably going to be a safer bet. It just means that you need to talk to the company about it, because maybe they can pay for the travel depending on where you're going to go and how long you need to stay.
Yeah, that is a good point. So definitely they should check with their employer and the HR. And I have other questions. The same scenario, whether they can go to any bridge gap petition saying like moving from H1B to the B1, B2 or whatever. Is it possible?
Yes, absolutely. And change of status to B2, for example, is one of the simplest things you can do. And it's actually available on My USCIS. So you can do it on the online filing through your USCIS account. However, if you have family members and you need to file for dependents as well, you need to do a paper application because the online application is only for a single filing, and there's no way to add dependents onto the online filing. Let's say even if you don't have kids, let's say it's you on H1B and your spouse on H4, then each of you would have to go to your own MyUSCIS account and do two separate filings, and that means you're going to have to pay for two filing fees. But if you do a paper filing, you can have one I-539 for you and then a 539A supplement for your spouse, and you can file it together and only one filing fee. So that means you're going to pay for the mailing costs, but you're going to save one filing fee, which is $470 per person. So that's a good savings on that. If you need to do it fast, if you're leaving it to the last day, then just go online, my.uscis.gov. And you can do the filing on the same day by just filling out the form and paying the fee online, and you will get the receipt notice on the same day as well.
That is really a good scenario, I believe. And this topic is very subjective because each one of you may have the different scenario. I strongly recommend to check with the Manifest Law Firm. They are giving the free consultation for this one. So and you can check with them. But don't stay out of status, right? So Henry, what's your recommendation?
Absolutely. Sometimes when people fall out of status, it's fixable, but if you can avoid that risk to begin with, then the best thing you can do is just never have out of status time in the United States, because the current system is very unforgiving, and it's a lot easier to stay here and move forward with future filings if you don't have something like that on your record.
Thanks, Henry. That is really a good recommendation. And you discussed about the point about the layoff. So say example, Amazon laid off so many people and Meta did that, Target, so many companies are doing that. If someone is on H1B and they laid off in the last month after October 1, what is their position? So if they already crossed 20 days or 15 days, what they should do at this point of time?
I would say submit a change of status to B2 or talk to us and see if they're eligible for something else. There are a lot of really highly qualified people who are on H1B and they might actually be eligible for an O1. And an O1 visa is something that, in a month or month and a half, it's potentially possible to get that filing ready. It is a big case, so it takes some time to do it, but it's possible. And it is possible to do an O1 where you don't have to have the company filing it for you. For example, earlier this year, did a case for a serial entrepreneur who wanted to come to the United States, and we filed it with an agent and for 3 different job offers. And the person got one O1 visa and come into the United States and start working for 3 different companies at the same time. So the O1 is a lot more flexible than an H1B. It's just that you need to have a high level of accomplishments to get an O1, right? So not everybody on an H1B will qualify, but if they do qualify, that will be one option to get them working sooner rather than waiting on finding a new job for an H1B or sitting here on a B2. But if you don't have any job openings, if you don't have any other opportunities, then file a change of status to B2. That will at least win more time for you. So if you get the filing in, you don't need the case to be approved. As long as the change of status is pending, you are authorized to be inside the United States. So that means you don't have to worry about how long it's going to take. Just get it in, and then you at least will not fall out of status. And then if then later an H1B new sponsor shows up and the government is open and the LCA filing is possible, then you can do a change of status back from B2 to H1B.
Wow, that's a great option too. You have given so many options, and a lot of people asking this question. Suppose their I-94 is going to expire in 2 months or 3 months from now. Say government is going to resume on mid or November end. How many days the Department of Labor will take to process the LCA? Say example, if someone is apply on December 1, how many days will take LCA got approved from DOL and US receipt note?
The LCA is supposed to be processed by the Department of Labor within 7 days. So it's about 1 week for you to get an LCA done. But if you're working with an attorney, they probably need at least a few days or something to get the paperwork organized, collect all the evidence they need, and then to file the LCA with the DOL on their online portal. After that, once the LCA is certified, you file the case with USCIS, and again, I keep plugging it, the online portal, but I really like to use the My USCIS portal for even filing the H1B cases for companies because you can get the receipt notice on the same day. If you're doing a paper filing, or if your company is still using the law firm that is doing paper filings for H1Bs, then you're going to wait 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes even more, before you get the receipt notice in the mail. If the attorneys can file the case electronically on My USCIS, then the same day that you pay the fees, you will get the PDF on the online portal, and you can just download that PDF, and that will be the evidence that you have a pending H1B case. So even in less than a month, it's possible to do all of those steps that are needed. Time is of the essence when it comes to people wanting to get back to work and needing a case done.
Thank you so much. You have given a lot of option to the people who are in H1B. You have given the own option or change of status to the B1, B2. Those are the good options to the people who are waiting for the I-94 is going to expire. And thank you so much, Henry, for your time, and happy Halloween to you.
Thanks so much. Happy Halloween to you as well.
Thank you so much, Manifest Law Firm, for organizing this call.